Last Saturday, the 12th of December 2020, marked 1 year to the day since the disastrous general election for Jeremy Corbyn's Labour Party and electoral success for Boris Johnson, of all people, and his Tory party. A year on, here we are. We've had a global pandemic, the likes of which we've not seen for 100 years in Western Europe, not since the Spanish flu. We sit in one of the wealthiest, most advanced, technologically advanced countries in the world, Great Britain, yet we sit in a country that has a COVID death rate that's first in Europe. We sit in a country that has the second worst COVID death rate per capita in the world. Now, I'm sure, like me, you've made your mind up about the reasons for that. I'm sure that Boris Johnson's leadership in most of our minds has had an important bearing on where we are and what's happened in the past year. Yes, there was utter failure. If you'll cast your minds back on PPE, the lack of procurement of PPE, the lack of delivery of PPE. It was Never Never Land, if you'll remember. Always promised, never delivered. Then after that, there was the whole debacle and failure over testing. We didn't have enough testing centres. We didn't have enough testing kits. We didn't have the laboratory capacity to deal with what tests we had. The tests weren't reliable. Then after that, we had the debacle over track and trace, the government's track and trace app, which has continued in large part. Yet here we sit a year on with the promise of a vaccine, which we all hear, read, see on the news, has just been started to roll out to frontline workers. So hopefully, we're all hoping this is the beginning of the end, at least, of our fear regarding COVID. But unfortunately for us, of course, this is perhaps only the beginning of the huge impact, fallout, and the consequences therein of the economic impact of the past 10 months. All over the country, in the different regions, and even today, we've had one lockdown after another. We've had the tier systems. It looks like we're headed back into lockdown again over Christmas because the R rate is shooting up all over the country. Here in Wales, I saw today that Mark Drakeford, who's the First Minister here, announcing that new measures, lockdown measures, were very likely on the way, because here, as with England, the R rate is increasing alarmingly. And this is only, 3 weeks, a month after coming out of our last restrictions in Wales. So, as we sort of hurtle towards Christmas and the new year, some things are seeming clearer, i.e. the end of COVID worry, and other things are disconcertingly looming for us, including myself. I'm currently on a sort of self-enforced hiatus break from what I've been doing for the past year or more, and I'm myself trying to cope with the economic and health implications of the past 9 months. I know I'm not alone. I know that there are hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of people like me in the same position all over the country, spread across the regions. And I know, like me, there are many of you, many of us, who want to know where we're going, who want to know from Boris Johnson, yes, his government, yes, but also our other elected leaders in the Labour Party, in what other organisations, such as the NHS, that we rely upon on a daily basis. Unfortunately, there seems to be a complete vacuum, a crisis like never before in Parliament, a crisis and failure in leadership, and I think therefore a crisis in what we can see, what we can put our trust in going forward. So it's been a difficult year for all of us. It's strange to think back just 12 months, only 12 months, to that general election, that night, the lead up, the weeks leading up to it. I was heavily involved at the time, as I would usually be, as I was in the previous election, in campaigning before the election with a group of friends. It was hard work. I wasn't well, just as now. Deja vu for me, just as now. I had a problem with my heart, which meant that I couldn't do much at all physically during the campaign, which again had happened in the previous election, 2017, when my problem had first appeared. So for me, here I am again, in that sense. Wondering where we're going, really. But always wondering why do we have to now go into what we're going to go into which is severe by all accounts, economic hardship, social hardship, en masse, affecting areas of the country, affecting groups of people, families that it perhaps hasn't affected before. Unfortunately, and I know this through experience, many of the voluntary community organisations that would normally be here, be there, be ready to help are of course themselves under enormous economic stress, pressures, uncertainty as to their survival in the near and longer future. And of course the people that work in them, volunteer in them, are having to, and have had to over the past 9 months, completely change the way they deliver their help to those that need it most, to the most vulnerable. How's that going to change over the course of the new year and into 2021? I don't know. I hope, as I say, I hope with the vaccine and the availability of that in the first couple of months, that we can get back to some normality and normal interactions face to face. But again, that doesn't negate the looming economic hardship that lots of these organisations are facing now and will face next year, the year after. What have our governments had to say about that? Not a lot, really. It seems to be mostly mild panic, a little bit of head burying in the sand. I see over in the US already hundreds of thousands are losing their homes, are subject to evictions and enforcement, losing their jobs, and the same is happening here and will happen here. And I, for my own part, despite my own struggles, my own problems, which will be just the same as yours in the respect I've just talked about and covered, I have a duty and a responsibility as a community representative, an elected councillor, to do what I can to help whoever needs my help. So that's not changed. So I'll still be here. I'm here if and when needed to do my best for the people of my town. And here's to here's to another 12 months, hopefully a 12 months where life can return more normally to us. Hopefully I can get on a bus, that'll be nice. In fact, actually, for the first time in 9 months, or longer than that, I'm actually hopping on a bus tomorrow to visit my hospital for some tests on this useless ticker of mine. So that will be a little bit scary. It's such a long time. But I think mostly I'll be quite excited, even for a bus ride to the hospital for an ECG. So yes, things are returning back to normality very slowly, aren't they? So I've had to be quite quiet because if you're wondering why I'm sort of semi-whispering, because it's, what time is it now? I think it's gone 11 o'clock, probably half 11, 11:45 on Wednesday night. I've just been sort of listening to a bit of music after having 2 meetings today over Zoom. First one not so long, the second one quite lengthy, quite draining. So I've been listening to some music because today is Beethoven's 250th birthday, and being a lifelong fan of Ludwig van, I thought I'd enjoy and mark the occasion. So, as some of my favourite comedians used to say, it's good night from me, and it's good night from him. Good night.